pro teams care about stats. As much as people say they don't, they care about flashy aim, stats.
Here I am with Gity. You might know him from his recent run with RealityTV, going flawless through Challenger League Stage 3 2022 and dealing a bit of damage in the SI closed qualifiers, really making SSG work for their qualifications to the Six Invitational. Gity, how are you doing?
Good, good, good. Hope you're doing well too.
Yep, I am. So I figure I want to start off with the elephant in the room, which is the stage 3 run with Reality TV, because you joined the team, took the kids, had a good run in stage 2, and then you joined the team, and I want to say Tristan joined the team, and then you guys went flawless in stage 3. Like, did you think that was gonna happen in that way, or were you kind of confident that you were just gonna dominate going into
Well, I
stage 3?
mean, I wasn't really thinking too much about the future, but I did know, like, as soon as my first day playing with those guys, that those guys were different. Like, not even just different as in, like, player skill, more as in, like, the environment. Like, everyone was, like, so hungry. And I hadn't, like, experienced that in a long time. So, like, once I got into that environment, I'd say after, like, 2 or 3 weeks, we looked 20 times better than from the first day we played together. And, like, from that improvement to going, like, to the first day of CL, when we won and B said what he said about like we're gonna go undefeated, I kind of was like, yeah, we probably could. I think we could. I kind of thought it was funny because like no one ever goes out of the way to say those kind of things in the first week. But
Yeah.
when he said it, I kind of everybody was like, yeah, I think we can because like our scrim stats look really good, and then on game day we were doing it, so it's like where could we go wrong?
Yeah, so I assume then that the open challenge Mr. B put out there didn't really add any pressure, given what you said there.
Yeah, not really. We kind of were like, yeah, he's kind of right. Like we kind of laughed about it, like didn't think too much about it. But then like the more we talked about it, we're like, yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. To be honest, like we didn't really think of any team that could like stop us.
Yeah, you definitely had two close calls with the one shot match and the unemployment match. But what do you think? Like overall, what do you think made reality TV so much better than the rest of Challenger League at the time? Like, was it the
I
coordination, the tactics, the calling? Like, what do you think it was?
well, I think it was everything above, all the above. But
Hmm.
I think it was just the mixture of players. Everyone brought something that someone else didn't have. So like if Packer couldn't do one thing, someone else could probably do it and get it done in game, the kind of thing. So I think we just had like such a well-rounded team for the meta and like the balance between comms and everything. Like I think it meshed perfectly where in CL no one was really gonna stop it. Maybe I'd probably say top pro league teams would give us a run, like kind of thing, but I mean we'll never know.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still salty about that myself.
Yeah.
But talking about Mr. B, because he's definitely a hot topic when it comes to IGLs, because they're already a rare breed, and then you don't really have that many IGLs come up from the T2 T3 scene and just like explode onto like competing for T1 spots. What was it like working with Mr. B on reality TV?
Well, Mr. B definitely was the first one or like first player I played with that individually told people what to do. Like majority of the time it'd be like the IGO would say the main push and like call for the execute, but he wouldn't individually tell players how to play. And I think there's good and bad to that because I think in the long run it could definitely hurt you because then players just forget how to do things if they're not like if they don't have that voice in their head telling them what to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, with B, he does it really well. So, and he had like, I'd say he had like Packer and me and helping him doing that, like helping him when he couldn't individually tell people what to do, we would take over the round and call executes to get things done. So, because he's human, he's not going to be able to do it every single round with the amount we played.
Yeah, of course.
But overall, yeah, overall he was really well at IGLing, and it was really cool. Like, I thought it was fascinating. Like the first day playing with him, like that he could talk that much. 'Cause I was like, bro, if I talk that much, I'm getting a headache. Like, there's
Yeah.
just no way I can do that.
Yeah, so I did want to kind of do a small compare contrast because you've also played with Vivid and Kilo, and at least with Vivid, he's seen as an IGL. I'm not too sure about Kilo because he's not as present online, I would say, or doesn't have as much of a presence. But at
Yeah.
least with Vivid, he's like seen as this IGL, but not on the same level as a Mr. B or a Poison, where he's like a dedicated IGL, more just out of necessity than wanting to be that role. Like,
Well,
what do
yeah,
you think?
I think they're both IGLs in their own way because like Siege is so different. You can do things different ways and still get the job done. But definitely B was more directive and more authoritative than Vivid was. Vivid more was just a voice through the round that would remind us how we wanted to go through the motions of like where we wanted to get a kill kind of thing. Well, everyone participates in that, but Vivid was definitely a main voice that he didn't talk. He didn't individually tell people exactly what to do all the time, but I mean, he still was the main voice of the team. It's
Okay.
just not as much talking, and it makes everyone else become more involved.
Okay. Cool. So I guess from there, I want to rewind a bit from CL 2022 and kind of look at 2021 and LSR because you kind of came onto the scene with I want to say with LSR had some other name for a while, and you've played with Vivid on this team, and you made top four for NACL 2021. But you didn't just do that; you actually beat Parabellum, and this is the Parabellum that everyone thinks
Oh,
of.
that season, that season,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So, and then you followed that up by winning SCS 6, beating teams like Ape and Wichita Wolves, which, for those who don't have a Wikipedia pulled up, that was pretty much just like the Aerial Arise Academy core plus Asian and Gunner. So
yeah.
you beat some strong ass teams for those placings, for those wins. Like, tell me a little bit about those journeys. And obviously, this is a long ass time ago. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be like
yeah. It's
exact.
like a yeah. Well, the stage three, I think we had Subarctic as our fifth
I believe
for
so.
that.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I was surprised at how well we did during the playoffs because no one had us beating Parabellum. And when we came into that best of three, I think we won 2-1 in the best of three, but on map we won map one and map two we choked 6-2. We were up 6-2. I remember actually we were on 6-2 on our bank defenses and we couldn't win a defense to save our life, and they came back. And map three was a barn burner. I think we won like 7-5 or something on Cafe. But yeah, I mean that was a shocking. I definitely thought it was a shocking season because Arrow also had really underperforming seasons before that and pulled out a number one rated. So I mean that was pretty cool for him. I was happy he could show what he was capable of. But going into I think after that stage, I think we dropped sub and picked up Kento,
Yeah.
or was it? Yeah, we had Newers, then Newers went to Pro League and we picked up Kento.
Yep.
And when we beat those guys, I mean that game was pretty easy. Like throughout the entire stage, I thought they were the best team with us, but I mean, I don't know. Like I didn't that the second time we played them in finals, it was pretty easy, but like I don't think they were trying as hard as they were the first time. So who knows? I don't know. It was
Yeah.
a we didn't no one really talks about that phase of stuff, but I feel like if those other teams that did what we did, it probably would be talked about. But for
Yeah.
us, I don't know. It seems that some of us are just playing for so long, they don't really care if we win anymore. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Do you think that happened with LSR to a certain degree? Because, this same core of the team went into 2022, but, ending stage two in 11th place, something clearly went wrong somewhere along the line. Do you think it was just like people have been competing for so long, they lost that fire in them? Or was it something
Well,
else?
I can't speak for other players, but I know for me individually and personally, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I had a lot of IRL things going on where I quite literally did not care about Siege, which
Okay.
definitely I felt very bad about it because it definitely influenced the team's performance because I felt like I was a major part of that team and a big voice. And when you have a big voice that just doesn't care and doesn't isn't as productive as he should be, it just chalks everything up. And we
Yeah.
had a lot of close games that season that we definitely could have closed out and won and not finished last place. We wouldn't have finished like top four or anything, but like, yeah, I definitely was not helping in that. And I think I was about to quit after that stage until I got a DM from Packer and I did that tryout. And I was just like, wow, wait, I got some passion again. And I was back.
Yeah. That's usually how it goes, though. From what I hear, is like a lot of time the people who are on the edge usually get that one call up, and they're like, "Wait a minute, I'm back in this. Like, I'm not done
Yeah.
yet." So I do want to transition because in my interviews and talks with Fett and Mr. B, one thing that has come up is that you were the backbone of RTV. Like, you wouldn't post the superstar numbers like a Gavin or a Tristan would, and you weren't the obvious, like, shot caller like a Mr. B, but you did a lot of work. I think the story Fett told was when there was that drone bug going around where like you couldn't get on your drones or you couldn't get off them. I don't remember what it was. Like, you guys did not win a scrim because you specifically were not able to get on drones and like set everyone else up. Like, do you agree with that assessment of like you
No,
were
a
that glue
hundred
guy?
percent. Yeah, 100%. I've always thought I was a guy that did very important small details that aren't talked about, and obviously you're not going to take credit for it, but there are things that have to get done that, they're just so small you don't notice it, but if they're not getting done, they mess something else up that you also won't notice. It's like a chain reaction kind of thing, I feel like. It's
Yeah.
not all about drones. I those are good examples for drones, but I know what he's talking about. It's like just making sure things are in order and things are going smoothly instead of like just having a big picture and not figuring out how to get to the ending picture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like setting up those win conditions and making sure everyone else is on the same page so that when you
Yeah.
do go for that execute, you do go for that pinch, it is actually coordinated, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay. I do want to get your, with that framing in mind, I do want to get your opinion on like joining a team and like betting into that role or trying out for new teams and trying to find your place because that's the kind of role that's, in my eyes, hard to fit in to a new team with because it kind of takes time to settle in and like figure out how this new team wants you to operate with that kind of thing, and you don't necessarily prove the same value in the same way as dropping 15 in a scrim, right? Like, do you agree with
Yeah.
that?
Well, fortunately, in my drafts with them, I was dropping nukes. So I don't think they realized until later on vocally. I think they still did, but I'm just saying later until how important it was for
Yeah.
vocally I was on the team. But yeah, I mean, it's just the kind of player I am, honestly. I think if any team, I haven't tried out that many teams, but if I was, like, I think I'd just be the same player. It's just built into the way I play Siege now that I need to make sure I'm saying those things so, like, the round goes well. Like, I want to see my team win. I want to see the team I'm with, be successful. And so I'll, like, say what I got to do and do what I got to do to get there. So,
Yeah. Do you think in general this role is just kind of like harder to like see value in because uh it is kind of easier to see Gavin dropping nukes, Nurse dropping
hmm
nukes, than like Gity setting up the flank drone or like coordinating the pinch or whatever. Do you think that makes it hard to for like pro league teams to kind of see the
Oh, I mean,
value you bring?
definitely. Pro teams care about stats. As much as people say they don't, they care about flashy aim, stats, and just the hype around your name. And players like me won't get hype when it's boring stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely, definitely does.
Okay. Um, so I want to talk about SCS and SI quals now because, for one, you lost two big players in Packer and Gavin. Like, Gavin was that tip of the spear, highest rated for stage 3, tied with Silent, and then Packer was kind of this under. I wouldn't say underrated. He was fairly rated, but he was like consistently clutching and providing that late round value. And you had to rebuild going into SES and then SI quals. Was it hard to like make a good team when post stage 3, post playoffs, you're getting all these like all of these players are getting Trout offers, and there's just nothing stable going into SES and SI quals?
Oh yeah, that was definitely frustrating. I think for SES, SI quals, SI closed quals, I think all of those instances we only had like a week or two of practice for all those different type of teams we had. I think we had like three different versions. But yeah, I mean it was not fun because B was going through tryouts, Tristan was going through tryouts, and then we already lost two of our. Well, I think actually I don't think Packer had officially left yet for before SES. I think PB was still doing tryouts, figuring out their fifth. So, but like still at the end of the day, basically everyone was hoping to go to pro league, so they're not really focused about the RTV roster
Yeah.
because Yeah, so it was really I just had to wait. Like I was just waiting. I had no idea what I was gonna do. I was just waiting for results to see what I still had left. I was just gonna go from there.
Yeah. So during SCS, you guys beat Astralis in a BO1, but a win's a win, and
A win's a win. Yep.
yeah, you gotta take you gotta take the fights that are in front of you, and you beat this NAL team, which has later gone on to make top four at Invite.
Yep.
So, what was it like facing a T1 team on game day? Because I'm sure that varies way different from what it's like playing against
Well,
them in scrims.
well, I don't think this is in the records, but that wasn't my first time playing a T1 team way back. This was
Oh,
probably yeah, it's not it was actually I can't remember what qual it was for. It was DG's roster before they had officially been a pro team, but it was Shuttle, Nyx, Drip, Retro, and somebody else. I honestly can't remember who
was it
was
the
on that roster.
DG Pro Am or like the Gamers Without Borders tournament? Because I might have
No,
seen
no.
that in Wikipedia.
Nah, it was a long time ago. I can't
Jeez.
remember. They weren't officially a team yet, but it was when DG was trying to buy a spot in the pro league, and they gave Nyx the keys, and we played them in a qual, and we smoked them on consulate, and they quit the qual and stopped playing that entire thing.
Oh,
And then
jeez.
later they were like, yeah, we weren't actually trying that hard. When I talked to Yardy, he's like, no, they were trying. I was like, I know you guys were trying. But
Yeah.
I mean, but it had been a long time, and then we played Astralis, and that was pretty cool. Nah, it was definitely fun. It was like the first time it was the first game where we were expected to lose, because I think throughout all of CL, everyone had expected us to win. So it was like I remember Fett saying it was like, "This is the game you guys aren't supposed to win." Remember? He was like, "So like, don't go in there like putting pressure on yourself. Just play your game." And then we went in there, and Tristan's dropped like 20 kills. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Uh, Later on during SCS, you lost to S2, and that one was BO3. What do you think went wrong? Because you guys still made a deep run. You were top four in SCS, but I think you were still expected to, probably show up in the finals, honestly, against like a Parabellum or an OXG or whatever. What do you think went wrong in the series to kind of lead to that placing?
People just didn't care. Like
Hmm.
I remember that was the weekend. That was in the middle of the week after the first quals, and we lost to Mirage. And I don't think anyone really cared about this BO3. I don't. We didn't scrim or anything because I think other things were going on too. So we hadn't scrimmed after the weekend that weekend of quals, and we went into it. And I was like, I told him earlier in that season, I was like, listen, if we're not going to try an SCS, I really don't want to play. And then quite literally before the game, Valor goes, "Yo guys, let's just play for fun." I was like, oh.
Oh
So we just went
no.
in there. Yeah, we kind of just went in there and like just played the play. Like we are obviously still, calling out like trying, but not to the full extent that we were in all of our other games. So it's like, they wanted it more. And like they had the talent, so it was like, they definitely could have done it and they did it. So
Yeah.
we weren't
So,
yeah, we weren't
oh
thinking too
yeah, yeah.
much.
You finish.
No, I'm saying we weren't thinking too hard about the game. It just kind of is what it is game. We were kind of just letting it rock, just seeing what happens.
Okay. So after SCS, or I guess in between SCS, is VSI quals. And the reward for CL at the start of the year was supposedly relegations, a shot at becoming that NAL team over one of the lower performers, but it later got changed into a reward that was kept unknown for a long ass time until it was finally revealed to be seeding into the semifinals, quarterfinals of the SI Open Qualifier bracket. Do you think this is a worthwhile reward for
Hell
winning
no.
CEL?
Hell no. That was I think we all laughed when we got that reward because if we didn't get the reward, we would have got there ourselves. We would have won through the bracket if we had just played all the games we had to play. So it's just kind of like we kind of just laughed about it. Like we already knew, I think like in the middle of the season that we weren't going to get a rail spot. So we were just like whatever, let's just play to beat people. But
Yeah.
like when we got that reward, we were just like, bro, we might as well not even get it. Like we would make that spot anyways.
Okay.
Yeah. It
And
definitely was
then,
not worth it.
do you think it would have been? Do you think it was better than like increased prize money or anything else that could have been given for CL that wasn't necessarily a relegation spot?
I definitely would have taken more money. That's for sure.
That's fair.
Yeah, because quals with that team were easy. Like we just blew by people. We knew how far we could have gotten.
Yeah, I don't know how into the Parabellum beef you were. That was definitely like something Mr. B was riding hard, but I'm not sure how into
Um,
it you were. But like, what was it like beating PB in a proper best of three?
well, I mean, actually, I had a little bit of beef. For some reason, Kool-Aid wanted to keep typing to me because someone said something in a group chat about trying to target me, and that guy's had some weird fantasy about me for the last like 2 years. I think ever since we beat him in stage three, who knows how long it's been, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of thought it was funny that he kept typing while they were getting smoked, and then when they lost, I didn't see anything anymore.
Yeah,
So yeah, I had a little bit of beef there, but it wasn't actually that deep. I was kind of
yeah.
just laughing. I was kind of laughing along the wave because B was screaming at the top of his lungs once that game ended.
Oh, I'm sure. I can imagine. Uh, what was it like? Do you think PB like actually had the chance to do damage, but just got screwed over by like I don't know, not enough time or just weird rolls? Or do you think this
Well,
team was just like a monstrosity from the start? Because you kind of look at it on paper and some of the pieces sound good, but then in practice it just underperformed to a certain extent, right?
yeah, no, I don't think they're a bad team at all. We were just better. And off of scrimming, by the way, I think going into close, we only had like 2.5 weeks of practice, or not close, but into open with Valor and Hat. We didn't
Yeah,
we didn't have that much time to scrim. We had like 2 weeks, I think 2 or 3, not even. I think it might have been less than that. But so we're on both ends just not being able to scrim that much. That's just due to the pro teams doing tryouts and stuff. So it kind of sucked.
yeah. So
But
going
yeah.
into close qualifiers, this is after the open qualifiers. I think Valor is out for Rice. Valor takes some time off from the game, and you are facing all NAL teams. You've got Mirage, you've got TSM, and you've got SSG. Going into this SSG match, obviously, having watched the Mr. B 2 a.m. stream before the game or whatever, he was talking real confident.
Was he though?
Oh, dude,
Was
he
he?
was he was. I mean, he was proven right by you guys winning that first match. But like, were you confident going into that first match versus SSG?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I will not lie, our scrims didn't look, as good as we would have liked, but I think we all had confidence that, like individually, someone can pop out and just take over a game. Luckily, the whole team showed up though, that first series. I think everyone really participated in each round. So,
Yeah, I want to touch on the border streak because this is a map that up to this point and after beating SSG the first time, it turned out that you guys had like some ridiculous streak on the map, even beating NAL teams like Astralis and now SSG on the map. Not only that, you 7-2'd SSG on it. Like,
yeah.
what made you guys so fucking good at the map? Like,
I think it's just our understanding of it. Like, I think our defenses were always solid due to like individuals being able to make a play. Because I think Border is heavily like individually based. Like you can try to do team things, but it's such a small map that you just have to hit your shots. But on attack, I think we just understood attacks more than other people. Like I think we understand how fluid you had to be on that map, and it really ended up working well for us the way we attacked it and pinched it.
yeah. And winning against SSG put you against TSM, which you then lost to. Do you think that was just like a running out of gas thing because you played a three mapper right before, or do you think it was just like people didn't show up or the map bans went wrong, or what do you
I
think
think
happened?
map bams definitely weren't a problem. I think it was a little bit of lack of experience being in those situations. Like we just took a BO3 over SSG. Like we were pretty hyped, but then like we got to redial and play TSM, who just won the last championship. I think that was the first game though where strats didn't matter. We were just getting gunned. You got Bolo and Merc just sprinting at you, just insta headshotting you. It's just like there's not much you can do when you're just already in that state where it's like, dang, I'm getting gunned this series right now. Like you just gotta flip a switch, but no one flipped a switch, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then the rematch against SSG, something that's prevalent in across all esports is that the team that wins the first match is at a major disadvantage going into the rematch, especially if it's in
Mhm.
the same tournament. Do you think that sentiment holds true?
Yeah, I don't know. You say that. I don't know why, but it felt different playing them a second time. The first time, like, we knew we could win. The second time, it was like damn, these guys are, like getting good timing. Like they like know some things that they didn't know last time. Like they're just like, a lot more aware than they were the first time we played them. It was really weird.
Yeah. Do you think with that experience with like plenty of BO3s against these NAL teams, do you think like Reality TV's map pool was strong, and do you think it like held up against these top teams in best of threes? Because Challenger League, like having a strong map pool is nice, but it's definitely not necessary when it's just best of ones over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think for that iteration of RTV, we didn't have that strong of a map pool. Like, granted, we didn't have that long to practice. Like TSM, SSG, I think even Mirage, all of them had months to practice, and like they even had boot camps to practice. Like, whereas we had like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks of scrims, where it's even some days we couldn't double, and like some days we couldn't even scrim at all because people had things going on. It's like that wasn't our full-time job yet. Like we had some things we had to attend to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely hurt us a little bit. It wasn't like we were weak at every map, but we definitely weren't the strongest we could have been at all the maps we wanted to be at.
Okay. Do you think the map pool is kind of something that doesn't get addressed enough in regular competition, like regular NAL CL stages?
Um, Not necessarily. I think people know with 9 maps, if it's like a best of one system, you need to guarantee 5 maps because you'll always be able to ban 4 of them.
Okay.
But like when you have BA3s coming up, you need a guarantee of 7 maps because you can ban 2 of them. So
Okay.
it just depends.
All right. So this is going to be the last topic to kind of close out, but I want to transition to the state of Tier 2 Siege as a whole, because this is a completely new circuit, and Ubisoft has announced a lot of information, but not necessarily all the information that we want or need to hear. So, like, with the information we have currently, how does this new circuit, this new blast circuit for Siege 2023, feel as a Tier 2 player?
Honestly, I wasn't a believer at first, but after like seeing it in person, I honestly thought it would be like another month and a half away from now from when like these quals would be, but having it soon and like now makes it feel a lot better than having to wait, a month and a half to actually play something again. Because I
Okay.
think come after these quals, we have a bunch of minors coming up as well, so like everyone can participate in those.
Yeah. Do you think the opportunities presented with like the major qualification and some of that other stuff that Ubisoft is including gives tier 2 players and teams opportunities to kind of like show their stuff in ways that you couldn't because relegations wasn't around for last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think with LCQ, with there being 3 pro teams in that, I think that's really good exposure. I think
Okay.
that's a lot better than not having anything and then, getting a top 4 spot in an open qual.
Okay. And then the last thing is Ubi has publicly called it like an off season, and it's 5 months long. Obviously, there's a lot of rumors of minors being included in that time period, but rumors aren't like concrete evidence. Do you think 5 months of off season, whether or not that's time off, so that teams and players can recoup and take, actually relax for once in the season, or just time to develop and kind of rebuild? Do you think 5 months is enough time, too much time, too little time? What do you think of like the 5 month period?
Way too much time. I think maximum's like 2 months. Even then, it's like as a gamer, you only need a nice little 3 week, or like I'd say 2 weeks, and then you're back. You're back and you want to play. You don't need 5 months. Like
Okay.
I think after a week or two of taking a break, you want to come back and grind. I feel like that's how most people feel.
Okay. Cool. And then to end out, Jesus Christ, I'm screwing over my
You're good.
words. To end the video and the interview, is there anything you want to say to anyone? Any like closing statements or anything?
Um, Not really. Just stay tuned. Like I'm still here competing, and I'm still here to win. And I proved that over the last year that I can win with or without certain people, and I'm gonna keep on winning, doing my thing.